Hello everybody, this is Gerwin with Just Fish, and because I'm tired of having to explain how to put a reactor together to every customer, I've decided to make this video on the fly with a customer, Mr. Peacock, and I'm going to make the video at the same time as I'm showing him how to do this. What I've done so far is I've taken a Fosband Reactor 150, I've taken it out of the box, and I went ahead and put some tubing and have assembled all the components. So if you can get an idea what we got there in the video. I have a cobalt power head sticking on one end of the tubing. I've got the adjustment gate valve for the water flow in line, comes in the box, and then I've connected it all to the lid. So the water is going to pump in, and it's going to drain back out, and Mr. Peacock is hooking this up to a sump below his tank, so it doesn't have to be real long, we just need to get over the edge. Alright, so at this point, what's going to happen next is we're going to take and put some GFO, granular ferric oxide. You could also put Brightwell's export in this. You could put biobeads in this. You can put carbon in that, charcoal at some point. So whatever the need is. You see there's a little tube in there. I want to put my finger over the tube. This is what I always do. That way I don't get any GFO down below the sponge. This is approximately an 8-ounce bag of GFO, and I'm going to use right about a third to a half of it. Now a lot of times people say, how much do you put in these things? Well, they say it's bad to strip the phosphates out too fast, that some of your corals can have a negative effect. About the only thing I've ever seen that kind of shows that is leather corals. Sometimes they get a little pissed off. Don't open for a couple days when you take phosphates out too quick. Other than that, I really haven't seen a terrible reaction. But as a general rule, I put maybe 2 inches, maybe 3 of granulated GFO into the chamber. At that point, I'm going to reconnect the top again. So I want to make sure I get this aligned and on that pipe. Again, all that might. This is sometimes the tricky part, just to get that little tube straight, so I can get that down in there. This is normally where I put my glasses on. As you can see, this is, there we go. This is a real-time video. This is no production being done somewhere off to the side where everything works perfectly. We're doing this real world with all the real world mistakes that can go on. Alright, I'm going to tighten that lid, and you know, this isn't something that you need to muscle down. If it gets a little drip from in there and there's an O-ring in there, you want to make sure it's in place. If you see a little drip, you can always give it a little more then. No need to just go crushing things right off the gate. The way this is going to work, as you can see, is I've got, here's a tank. He's going to have a sump, something like this. But just for the example, this is going to hang on the sump. It can also hang on the back of your current fish tank. It's got a little leveler screw right here. And you just screw that in, whatever you need to do to get this level so it's sort of straight up and down. The power head is going to sit into the sump or into the aquarium. It's going to shoot water into the chamber. It's going to begin to fill up, and it's going to pour back into the sump. I got a gate valve here which allows me to adjust the amount of water flow going through the unit. Alright, we got one on our tank that we're going to go ahead and show what to do from there. So we're going to shut it off, and I'll add on to this video in just a moment. Alright, so here we are. I have the reactor hanging on to the sump here at the shop. We're going to show how you go ahead and charge it up and get it working. Again, this isn't no stage props. This is my sump, not necessarily the cleanest sump. This is my reactor we've been using on this system. Okay. All right. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take the output side, the side we cut with that short hose, and I'm just going to have a bucket sitting next to it because this is how we're going to go ahead and clean the reactor. I got my valve right here. It's connected to a power head back here on the other end. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and slowly put water into the chamber. And if Mike will come down here and get a close-up on this, I want you to see what we do here. So I'm opening it up just a little bit, and I want you to key in on the reactor media right here. You see it getting wet. As soon as I see the media begin to get wet, I go ahead and shut it back off again. Because what you got is you've got dry media getting moist and it wants to float up. So after I let it get wet, I'll go ahead and jiggle it a little bit, let it break down. So the media is now sank back down to the bottom. I'm going to go ahead and slowly open the valve back up. I'm going to let the chamber slowly fill. Kind of just keeping an eye on the media. You can kind of see where it's wanting to come up again. I'll slow it down. Let it fall. It's just a matter of it all becoming wet. When it gets wet, it gets heavy and it'll sink. Going to go ahead and slowly start filling it up. And you're going to, here in just a second, we're going to see some water come out of this hose. Here it comes. So there's two things I'm looking for. What I'm doing right now is I'm basically rinsing the GFO without sticking it in the sink, where you tend to waste your GFO and you get it really, you start taking phosphates out of the tap water. None of us want to do that. So what I'm looking for is I'm looking for this to look pretty clear. And I actually look at this chamber down here. Okay, give me a nice close-up. This area right here in the beginning was going to be really, really dark. And as this media runs and rinses, it starts to clear up. You can also see the media column, now that it's become fluidized, has become much higher. And if you get really close up on it, Mike, so you can see it tumbling in there. All right. See how the entire media is moving? That's a little more aggressive than I generally run it. I'm going to slow it down a little bit. I like to, the description I like to give people is where it almost looks like molten lava at the surface, where the whole top of it looks alive. All right, so the top now is looking pretty clear. That's good enough. I'm not going to sit here and waste my salt water. I'm as cheap as the rest of you. I'm going to go ahead and shut it off real quick, so I don't make too big of a mess. Back up, please. I'm just going to turn this back around, get it into the sump, and back into the sump. All right, you can get close up again. Go ahead and open it back up. Watch the media. Go ahead and get the media moving. Get it fluidized, as they say. Looking for that molten lava look. Don't really want to go much faster than it takes to get that. Otherwise you could be breaking it up into little fines and plug up that sponge faster. Yeah. That's pretty good. Back out again. And the one thing I sometimes get asked is, well, where should I put that? Should I dump it away from the pump? Should I dump it in the skimmer chamber? You know, I think at the end of the day, dump it wherever it's easiest, because honestly, you've got water moving through the sump at a rate of hundreds to thousands of gallons an hour. It's not like it's going to pick up every single drop if it's dumping right next to the pump. I do have this sort of separated. If that's convenient for you, sure, do it. It doesn't hurt anything. But if it's not convenient for you, don't kill yourself. It's going to do the job. You're going to remove phosphates. You're going to grow a tremendous amount of coralline algae, and you're going to see all your SPS coral growth come way up. And that is it for our very first video on how to in real-world application with just fish.